Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Morrowind. As promised, all I did off screen was sell off the potions and other excess loot. Let's keep exploring this little town of Pelagiad. Next up, we're going to do Erval's house. Here is Erval. I'll be happy to help you, stranger. I'm Erval. I am Erval, commoner. Let's see. He has nothing new to say. Alright. I think we're in a situation where we can probably just get away with stealing stuff. Free of consequence. We'll figure it out soon, if we aren't.
Over here!
Yeah, he'll say something, but there's no bounty, and he doesn't go hostile. Perfect.
Outrageous!
Yeah, whine all you want, you ain't changing shit.
Outrageous! Over here! No! Stop!
Expensive skirt. I've already got one of those.
Outrageous! No! Stop! No! Stop! No! Stop! What's this? Thief! Over here! You've stolen for the last time, thief!
I don't...
You've stolen for the last time, thief! You've stolen for the last time, thief!
Inaccurate.
You've stolen for the last time, thief!
Let's see now. I already have an
What's this? Thief!
already have an expensive amulet, so that's it for Erval's house. Not too much happening there. But with all those alchemy ingredients, we are naturally up for another alchemy session. I'll do that off screen and be right back. Alright, we're back. I was able to use all but 3 black anthers, a Kaguti hide, and some racer plumes. Did not get a skill increase. So let's run an offload.
Yes?
Got confused about which building I was looking at, but that's alright. Won't really hurt anything. Let's just wait a bit. Alright. And we got some things to sell him. $370. Just need to watch the total. Make sure I don't exceed it, you know. Alright, we're good. Now let's just roll on to the next home,
Now.
which is gonna be the last of these 3 lining the back road. We're gonna have Ferucia Salus's house. Let's look around in here. Let's just go clockwise. That's always easiest. We know she's walking around outside, so... This is the only house I can recall in the game that actually has stuff hanging off hooks like that. Here's a silver spark axe. That is going to be better than the iron shard axe we have sitting at home, because it's one-handed. So we will certainly be replacing the iron shard axe with this little bit of awesome random loot we just found. It did occur to me a minute ago that I forgot to check the beams in Erval's house. Not that they're clear here. Let me see if they're also clear there. I'm cheating just to see if they're there or not, and I suppose that still is certainly cheating, but shouldn't matter too much. Alright. Nothing there in either house. So, I'll turn collision back off. Let's loot all this stuff. Now here's something interesting. A trapped level 60 locked chest. I obviously can't open a level 60 lock yet, but I will be able to disarm the trap. We'll have to come back here later to see what's in this chest. We can at least get ourselves some security experience now by disarming the trap. And frankly, it's got no reason to be taking this long. There we go. So we'll come back to pick the lock later on. In the meantime, anything good in here? Not really. More ingredients, the usual. Let me run back here. Make sure I didn't pick up anything damaged. Let's swap out the iron shard axe for the silver spark axe. Given the choice, one-handed is always better because it lets you have a shield. Thereby, an extra enchantment slot, which will ultimately include the Daedric Tower Shield, which is the highest enchantment capacity of any item in the game. Obviously, we'll want one. Alright, time for an alchemy session. I'll do that off screen. I'll be back when it's... Hello everyone. I apologize for the little hiccup. Well, wait, now I'm all confused. I left off having done an alchemy session, not at the end of an episode. I just need to get my bearings. So, in that alchemy session, I was able to raise the skill to 48. Let's sell these potions off, and then head to our next
Any
house.
time now.
He's wearing some of the clothes we sold him.
This is fortunate. How do you do, Altimer?
If you're wondering why he's dressed so fabulously. So of course we'll sell him the iron shard axe. We don't need it anymore. We'll do the standard 24-hour wait in order to repopulate his supply of gold. Sell him the rest of the stuff we were able to get out of Ferucia Salus's house. And now we'll go hit the next house,
Any time now.
which is the home of Madres Navur, which starts out unlocked. Let's chat with him before we do anything else. Welcome, outsider. What brings you to Pelagiad? Can I help you find a specific place? Background. I am Madres Navur, acrobat. Latest rumors. And how do you think it was that bloated imperial plutocrats got the charter to exploit the Caldera ebony deposits and not a native great house or local colonist? Big fat bribes, I tell you, and friends in high places. Little advice. Looking for work? Not much around here. Better head to one of the towns to the north, Balmora and Aldrune, and try the Fighters Guild and the Mages Guild. Or head for the big city, Vivek, to the east. Little secret. Why is the temple so upset about this Nerevarine prophecy? Crazy old gentlemen wandering around the ashlands and staring at the sun, talking to themselves. Big deal. Lord Nerevar is coming back to save Morrowind. About time, I say. Where was he when the Empire walked in here and took over? My trade. We've heard of acrobats. Nerevarine. The Ashlanders have a prophecy that one day a reincarnation of the legendary hero Nerevar will unite the Dunmer against the invaders and restore the ancient Dark Elven nation. But the Tribunal Temple says this is a false and profane superstition, and the Ordinators deal mercilessly with those who profess such beliefs. Pelagiad, services, Solstheim, someone in particular, specific place. It's all good. I think he's like the others in that we can just
God! I'll deal with you, thief.
take everything without consequence.
That is quite enough, thief.
I always enjoy that when it happens. What's this
Wretched
book?
thief.
The Black Arrow Volume 1 is, I believe, an acrobatics skill book in this game. Yeah, so we're not ready to read that yet. Give me a moment just to put that down in my notes. Okay, all done. So let's snatch the book without reading it, as we've previously learned how to do. Oops.
Hell, gods! That is quite enough, thief. I'll deal with you, thief. I'll deal with you, thief. You're finished.
I'm still doing some playing around in Fallout 4 between videos. Looks like there's nothing stashed on his beams either. Let's head down to his... well, not quite yet.
Hell,
Let's
God!
loot the
Hell,
other
God!
shelf.
That is quite enough, thief.
Grab all these
That is quite enough,
ingredients.
thief.
And head through the trapdoor down to the basement. Where, if we go clockwise, we have a level 12 locked chest. With my journeyman's pick, that shouldn't be too hard. Lovely. And we got more ingredients, a travel lantern, fresh set of repair prongs, always nice. Random loot and random ingredients. Up on top of the closet, note the apprentice's armorer's hammer. We're definitely always into thief tools. And repair tools. Because we need them. Pretty much always. So that's it for here, I think. Did I hit these two? I did. That spot's done. Let's head back to base, as we so often do. So, 12 minus 8 is 4. The apprentice's hammer goes there too. Skill book goes on the bench. And once again, well, not quite yet, because I found a netch leather and some comberry, any bloat or ash yam. No. Alright, with that, it's time for another alchemy session. And it's going to be a big enough one that, like the others, I'm going to do it off screen. So I'll be right back. Alright, that one is done. Wasn't really able to use everything, but was able to make a good number of potions. No skill up that time, unfortunately. So let's, as usual, run over to the Bastion Ents. Start walking now. And we can offload with him. There we go. Right back to it. Delightful. Alright. That's the halfway tavern. There's more going on there, though, so we'll skip it for now, and instead, let's check out Dralis Gilu's house, which we unlocked earlier. Alright, let's see what we got in here. If we go clockwise, 3 ash yams with their lovely Fortify Intelligence effect, and a level 20 locked chest, which shouldn't be too bad. I'll do this one on the screen. Considering I can unlock 30s, that means I have a better than 1 in 10 chance at this, so it shouldn't be too bad. There we go. Nothing too important, but I do like Scuttle. Always do. Under the pillow is a silver shard blade, a one-handed short blade, which may... Well, I've got an unenchanted silver short sword, and at that point, because the silver short sword is good enough to hurt everything, the fact that this enchanted one is going to do more damage makes me want to use it less. Do note, though, that it is damaged and susceptible to being repaired. Don't miss the lockpick or probe hiding on the table there either. Alright, let's check his beams for a stash. Not seeing anything. So let's nick the rest of the stuff. No basement. His house is single level, so we're done here. But Found a couple of somewhat interesting things,
Speak, traveler.
which is good. Let's head back to Junal Ways. First thing to do is repair the shard blade. And then an alchemy session, so I'll do those things off screen and be right back. Alright, so that's done. I was still unable to secure an alchemy increase and was really only able to make a few potions. You will notice that I ran out of I fully used one set of repair prongs and subbed in the apprentice's armorer's hammer. Armorer did increase to 10 while repairing the shard blade, so that's something. And finally, I have changed my mind and decided to just keep the best instance of each weapon, because I'm doing enough grinding with movement skills and what have you. Combat is tough enough at difficulty 100 at low levels, especially at low levels. I don't want to be grinding. I want to do as much damage as possible.
Speak quickly, Outlander, or go away.
Because the reality, as I discovered in my first crack at doing a written guide, is that we are going to have more than enough time, beyond enough time and enemies to max out all the weapon skills. So I'm just not worried about it. For Mabestian, he can have our old silver short sword, potions we made, and the other stuff we found inside Dralaskilu's house. I actually forgot to put away the apprentice's probe, so we're lugging around an extra 3/10 of a pound. It shouldn't hurt us too bad. This next is probably just another house anyway. Well, not probably. It is another house. We'll try and complete the outskirts by ducking back here and doing Adanja's house next. There we go. So first thing is, of course, to chat with Adanja. Background. Adanja follows the trade of pilgrim. Latest rumors. Little advice. Thinking of setting yourself up as a mercenary or questing hero? Not much call for that around here. Rats and the occasional bandit are our only problems. Little secret, my trade. I am a pilgrim. I search for enlightenment and hope to purify my soul through facing and overcoming the challenges of pilgrimages that reenact the tests and trials of gods, saints, and heroes. I visit the shrines and make devotions everywhere I travel, in village temple shrines and the high fane of Vivek, or at the remote shrines scattered all over Vardenfell. Pelagiad, Solstheim, services, someone in particular, specific place, and that's it. Alright. I think she's like the others in that we can steal consequence-free, because there are no guards in her home. That always makes it fun.
You can't escape! Thief! No thief! Stop! Thief! You can't escape! Why you? Why you? Why you? Why you?
Alright, let's check the beams. I think we can get up there. Nothing. Okay. I don't want to inadvertently raise acrobatics again on this level, so let's head down to the basement, do the same thing. Do note the level 15 lock on the small chest. We're going to want to get that. Okay, try again. Oop, wrong thing. There we go. Oh my god, coffee's good. It's really fucking good. Yeah, it's hard to know exactly how long this will take, but I have better than 1 in 10 odds, so the answer is not that long, hopefully. There we go. Ah, 2 new books. Poison Song 5 and Poison Song 6. Now neither of these are skill books, so we should be able to just go ahead and read them and take them off the list. So let's do that. Start with 5 since it's, well, let me check and see if there are other volumes first or other things to do. There is another petty soul gem. That's always a good find. I'm actually going to run out of space. That's awesome. Hasn't happened in a long time either. Not just looting out someone's house anyway. We'll put you back then. The books are too heavy. So let's keep things fairly clean by just selling some junk to Mephistian to make room. And now we can do the 24-hour wait. We can sell him the rest of the clutter that we're carrying anyway. Now we can go
Go ahead.
back to Adanja's house. And we can read the books. We'll do Poison Song 5 first. The Poison Song, Book 5 by Briston Zell. For 2 days the house healers attended Tay in his bed, and Baynara sat by his side, holding his hand. He was feverish, neither asleep nor awake, screaming at invisible phantoms. The healers complimented the young man's fortitude. Bodies had washed ashore on the island of Gorn several times, many during the war, but never once had they seen one that lived afterwards. Aunt Elia came in several times to bring Baynara food. You must be careful, dear, or when he's all well, he'll have to attend you on your sick bed. Tay's fever broke, and at last he was able to open his eyes and see the young woman with whom he had spent 17 years, all but the first year of his life. She smiled at him and called for food. In silence she helped him eat. I knew you wouldn't die, cousin, she whispered fondly. I hoped to, but somehow I knew I wouldn't either, he groaned. Baynara, do you remember all those nightmares I told you about? They're all true. We can talk about it when you've rested some more. No, he croaked. I must tell you everything now, so you'll know what kind of a monster you call your dear cousin Tay. If there was some way you could have known before, you might not have been so eager to see me well again. A tear rolled Baynara's cheek. She had grown into a beauty, even in the few months he had been away in Mournhold. How can you think I would stop loving you, no matter what you've done? I saw my old nursemaid Ediba and spoke to her. Oh, Baynara had feared this moment. Tay, I don't know what she told you, but it was all my fault. You remember when Kenna Grafisi taught us about the house Dagoth and its corruption? That night I saw your nursemaid making some kind of altar out on the north lawn, using the symbol of the sixth house. She must have been doing it for years, but I never knew what it meant. I told Uncle Triffith, and he sent her away. I've wanted to tell you so many times now, but I was afraid to. She was so devoted to you. Tay smiled. And didn't it frighten you even more to wonder if there was any connection between her devotion to me and her devotion to the accursed house? I know you, Baynara. You're not one of those women who doesn't choose to use her mind. Tay, I don't know what she told you, but I think she was very troubled, and whatever she thought about you and the sixth house was wrong. You have to remember that. The ramblings of one mad woman are proof of nothing. There's more. Tay sighed and held up his hand. For a moment he blinked, and then turned to Baynara angrily. What happened to my ring? If you saw it, you must have known already that everything I'm saying to you is true. I threw the filthy thing away. Baynara stood up. Tay, I'm going to let you rest now. I am the heir of House Dagoth. Tay was wild-eyed, almost screaming. Raised after the war as House Indoril, but driven by the song of my ancestors. When we were young, I killed Baster because the song told me he had stolen my inheritance. When Ediba told me who I was and gave me this ring, I killed her and burned her house to the ground because the song told me she had served her purpose. When I returned to Kalkorith's house, my love was there, telling me that she was of the house Dagoth too, and my sister. I fled, and when Kalkorith tried to stop me, I slew him, because the song told me he was an enemy. Tay, stop. Baynara sobbed. I don't believe a word of it. You've been feverish. Not Tay. He shook his head, breathing heavily. The name my parents gave me was Dagoth Tython. You can't have killed Ediba. You loved her. And Vaster and Kalkorith, they were our cousins. They were not my true cousins, Tay said coldly. The song told me they were my foes, just as it's telling me now that you're my foe, but I won't listen, and I'll keep from listening as long as I can. Baynara fled from the room, slamming the door behind her. She took a key from her startled maid Hilima and secured the lock. Serio Indoril Baynara, Hilima whispered with great sympathy. Is all well with your cousin, Serio Indoril Tay? He'll be perfectly fine once he rests. Baynara recovered her dignity, wiping the tears from her face. No one is to disturb him under any circumstances. I'll take the key with me. Now I have much work to do. I don't suppose anyone's spoken to the fishermen about restocking Sandal House's supplies. I don't know, Serio, said the maid. I don't think so. Baynara marched down to the docks and relieved her troubled heart the only way she knew how, by concentrating on small things. Tay's words never left her, but she found temporary comfort talking to the fishermen about their haul, helping determine how much should be smoked, how much should be sent to the village, how much should be delivered fresh to the house later. To the house larder. Her Aunt Elia joined the discussion, oblivious to Baynara's well-disguised agony. Together they discussed how many provisions Uncle Triffith and his commanders had devoured during their weeks on the island, when they would be expected to return, and how best to prepare. One of the fishermen on the docks called out, interrupting. "A boat is coming." Elijah and Bainara greeted the visitor as she arrived. It was a young woman dressed in the robes of a temple priestess. As she docked her small boat, Bainara marveled at how beautiful she was, and strangely familiar. "Welcome to Gord," said Bainara. "I am Induril Bainara, and this is my aunt, Induril Ulaya. Have we met before?" "I don't believe so, Sirio," the woman bowed. "I was sent by the temple to inquire whether word had come from your cousin, Induril Te. He has been missing from his classes for some days now, and the priests have become concerned." "Oh, we should have sent word," Ulaya fretted. "He came here a few days ago, half drowned. He's better now. Let us escort you up to the house." "Te's resting now, and I ask that he not be disturbed," Bainara stammered. "Actually, I know it's dreadful manners, but I need to talk to my aunt for a moment. Would it be too terrible if I asked you to wait for us at the house? You have only to follow the path up the hill and across the lawn." The priestess bowed again humbly, and began the walk. Ulaya was scandalized. "You know better than to treat a representative of the temple that way," she snapped. "You can't be so exhausted from tending your cousin to have lost all sense of civility." "Aunt Ulaya," Bainara whispered, drawing the woman away from the ears of the fisherman. "Is Te truly my cousin? He believes himself to be of the house Dagoth." Ulaya took a moment to respond. "It's true. You were just a baby yourself during the war, so you couldn't know what it was like. There was not a part of Morrowind that wasn't ravaged. There was even a battle here on the island. Do you remember that burned pile of wreckage you and Te and poor little Vaster discovered so many years ago? That was the remains. And after the war, when that accursed house was finally defeated, we saw the little innocents, the orphans whose only crime had been born to wicked parents. I admit there were some in our armies, the combined forces of the houses, who would have had them all slaughtered to annihilate the legacy of Dagoth. In the end, compassion prevailed, and the children of the sixth house were adopted into the other five, and so we thought that we had won the war and the peace. By the Mother, Lord, and Wizard, if all that Te believes is true, then there is no peace," Bainaris trembled. "He claims that the song of his ancestors called to him and forced him to slay 3 people. 2 of them are housemen, Cousin Calcoreth and, when he was a little boy, Vaster." Ulaya held her hands over her tearful face and could not speak. "And it is only beginning," said Bainara. "The song still calls to him. He said there were others who knew, who would help him raise up the sixth house. His sister—" "It must be an evil fantasy," Ulaya murmured. She noticed that Bainara's gaze was now upon the path leading from the docks towards the house. "Niece, what are you thinking? Did that priestess give us her name?" The 2 women ran up the path, calling for guards. The fishermen, who had never seen the mistresses of the house so undone, looked briefly at one another and then followed quickly behind, pulling out their hooks and blades. The front gate to Sandhill House stood wide open, the first of the corpses lying close within. It was now an abattoir, painted fresh with blood. There was Aner, Uncle Triffitt's valet, gutted but still seated at the foyer table where he had been enjoying his afternoon glass of Flynn. Lorraine, one of the chambermaids, had been decapitated while carrying some once clean linens up the stairs. The bodies of guards and servants sprawled about the hall like blown leaves. At the top of the stairs, Bainara had to hold back a sob when she saw Hilima. She lay like a broken doll, slain as she tried to pull herself out onto the narrow window ledge. Ah. No one spoke, not Bainara, nor Aunt Ulaya, nor the fishermen, as they walked slowly through the blood-drenched house. They passed Te's sick room, its door broken open and no one within. When they heard the sound of footsteps in Bainara's room down the hall, they approached slowly, cautiously, with great dread. The priestess from the docks was standing by the bed. In her hand was the silver ring Bainara had taken from Te's finger. In her other hand was a long, curved blade, splashed like her once pristine gown with gore. She smiled prettily and bowed when she saw she was no longer alone. "Aira, I should have recognized you by Te's description in his letters," Bainara said in her steadiest voice. "Where is my cousin?" "I prefer to call myself Dagoth, Aira," she replied. "Your false cousin, my true brother, has already gone to fulfill his destiny. I'm sorry you were not here so he could give you a more permanent farewell." Bainara's face twisted in fury. She motioned for the fishermen who advanced with their weaponry. "Tear her apart. The sixth house will rise again and Dagoth Tython will lead us," Aira laughed. Her words were still echoing as she gave the sign of recall and vanished like a ghost. And we have Volume 6, The Poison Song, Book 6 by Briston Zell. The magnificent sprawl of the stronghold of Induranian was aglow in the light of the setting sun. Commander Jasrat watched it slowly disappear into the horizon as he led the caravan southwestward. It was a strange practice for him to lead a night operation, but scarcely more bizarre than anything else he was facing. He was only 70 years of age, far from old for a Bosmer, and yet he felt like he belonged to another era. He had known the land of East Vardenfell his entire life. Every forest, every garden, every small village between Red Mountain and the Sea of Ghosts had been home to him. But now it was all different, twisted into a world he did not recognize since the eruption and the year of Sun's death. It made night travel all the more treacherous, but it was a risk he was ordered to take. The Ashmire appeared quite suddenly. If a sharp-sighted scout hadn't seen it and given the signal, the entire caravan might have been swallowed whole. Jasrat cursed. It had not been on the map, but that was hardly surprising. It was a huge, unnamed scathe, stretching as far as anyone could see. The commander considered his options. He might lead his party to the southeast toward Tel Arun and then try and approach due west. As he consulted his map, he noticed a glimmer of a campfire in the distance. Accompanied by his lieutenants, Jasrat drove his guar forward to investigate what appeared to be an Ashlander man and woman. "This is no longer your realm," he bellowed. "Don't you know it's been ruled by the temple, that these are house lands now?" The couple shuffled to their feet and began quietly walking away toward a narrow ridge between hill and Ashmire. Jasrat called them back. "Do you know a way around the scathe?" he asked. They nodded, their eyes still to the ground. Jasrat signaled to his caravan. "You will lead us, then." It was a treacherous, winding crossing, almost too tight for the guars. The wagons themselves scraped as the drivers pulled to avoid the Ashmire. The Ashlander man and woman whispered to one another as they led the caravan. "What are you mumbling about, Enwa?" Jasrat hollered. The man did not turn around. "My sister and I were talking about the Dagoth rebellion, and she was guessing that you were bringing arms to the stronghold at Falen Serrano, which is why you chose to cross the Ashmire rather than taking a road." "I might have known," Jasrat laughed. "You Ashlanders are so hopeful whenever you see signs of trouble in the houses in the temple. I hate to dampen your spirits, but what you're speaking of is hardly a rebellion, merely a few isolated incidents of unpleasantness. Tell your sister that." As they plodded onward, the narrow ridge began to taper even more. The Ashlanders found a low, jagged crevasse in the hills, a crack from a lava flow even predating Sun's death. The caravan scored the rock walls as it moved through. Commander Jasrat, after 20 years of uncertainty in a land he did not understand, felt a twinge of his old instinct. This, he thought to himself, would be a fine place for an ambush. Oops. "Ashlander, how close are we?" he shouted. "We've arrived," Dagoth Tython replied, and gave the signal. The assault was over in mere minutes, as it had been calculated from the start. When the last body of the house guard had sunk beneath the Ashmire, only then was the inventory of the caravan revealed. It was better than they had hoped, virtually everything the rebellion needed. Daedric swords, dozens of suits of armor, quivers of fine ebony bolts, and rations enough to last for weeks. "Go on ahead to the camp," Tython smiled at his sister. "I'll lead the caravan. We should be there within a few hours' time." Aira kissed him passionately and gave the sign of recall. In an instant she was back in her tent exactly as she had left it. Humming the song, she removed the Ashlander rags and chose an appropriately diaphanous gown from her trunks, precisely the sort of dress Tython would love seeing her in when he returned. "Morasa," she called to her servant, "summon the troops together. Tython and the others will be here very soon with all the weapons and rations we need." "Morasa can't hear you now," said a voice Aira hadn't heard in weeks. She turned, expertly removed every trace of surprise from her face. It was indeed Indoril Baynara, but not the quivering creature she had left behind at the massacre at Sandal House. This woman was an armored warrior who spoke with mocking confidence. She wouldn't be able to summon the troops if she could. "You may have weapons and rations, Aira, but there's no one left to arm or feed." Dagoth Aira made the sign of recall, but nothing happened. The moment we heard you banging around in the tent, my battle mages cast a diffusion of all magicka. Baynara smiled, opening the tent further to invite a dozen house soldiers in. You won't be leaving. If you think that my brother will walk into your trap, you underestimate his allegiance to the song, Aira sneered. It tells him everything he needs to know. I have convinced him to no longer fight it, and let it lead him and us to our ultimate victory. I've known him longer and better than you ever did, said Baynara coldly. Now I want to hear what the song is saying to you. I want to know where I can find Tay. Tython, my lady, Aira corrected her. He is no longer a slave to your house and the temple's lies. You can torture me all you wish, but I swear to you the next time you see him, it will be because he wishes it, not you, and that will be your very last moment alive. Don't you worry, Serio, Baynara's Nightblade winked at her. Everyone says they won't break under torture, but everyone always does. Baynara left the tent. It was all a part of warfare, she understood that, but there would be little relish in witnessing it. She could not even watch as the house soldiers disposed of the rebel corpses. She had hoped she would grow numb to the bloodshed after weeks of following Tython and Aira, massacre after massacre. It didn't matter to her that now the bodies were of her enemies. Death was still death. She had only been in her tent for a few minutes when her Nightblade appeared. Not so tough as she appeared, that one, he grinned. In point of fact, all I had to do is ask her nice and point my dagger at her belly, and she was blubbering everything. Not too surprising, really. It's always the ones that talk big that crumble fast. I remember way back a couple years ago, before you was even born. Garuan, what did she say? Baynara asked. The song, whatever that is, told her brother that she got herself caught and not to return to camp, the Nightblade replied, only a trifle annoyed at having his fascinating story cut short. He's got a half-dozen mer with him, and they're going to try to assassinate that fella that led the Indoral army in the war, General Indoral Triffith. Uncle Triffith, Baynara gasped. Where is he stationed now? I'm not sure myself, Serio. Do you want me to ask if she knows? I'll come with you, said Baynara. As they walked towards Aira's tent, cries of alarm sounded. The situation became abundantly clear even before they reached the site. 3 guards were dead, and the prisoner had escaped. Interesting woman, said Garuan. Weak heart, but a strong arm. Should we send word of warning to General Indoral Triffith? If we can find where he is in time, said Baynara. Alright, cool. So, next thing, then, is gonna be another... See, I don't have anything to repair, so... Next up, naturally, is going to be another alchemy session.
Make it quick, Outlander.
Well, let's just jog back over to Junal Lay's house. There's no particular need to hold on to these books, which is good. I do need to drop off the apprentice's probe from Dralas Gilu's house that I missed before. Also got another empty petty soul gem to drop off. And we're ready for an alchemy session, which I'll do off screen. Alright folks, I'm back. That one worked out pretty well. I was able to use everything except a single small Quama egg, and alchemy did raise to 49. So let me quickly go offload with Mabestian, and then I think, although it's not a particularly logical stopping point location-wise, since we still have at least one house and a tavern and a couple of merchant shops in town to search, just based on recording time, I think it's going to be a pretty good time to end the episode.
Let's hear it.
So, here's Mabestian. We'll offload with him. 386. Magic number right now. Fair enough. Okay, that one was too much. That's fine. So is that. That's fine. Oh wait, is it? Yes, it is. We can sell him that pitcher, though. Alright. Let's wait him out again. And we're all set. Lovely. So, what's left to check out right now? We've got Merberius Harmithus's house, Mebestian's shop, Ulernil, the armor shop, and the halfway tavern, and the fort. Plus anything we couldn't unlock. So, starting next time, we will do Merberius Harmithus's house. Until then, this has been Let's Play Morrowind. We're just bullet our way through the town, finding some goodies, gradually raising alchemy and armor. It's a little bit tedious, but you know, it's naturally progressing stuff that's otherwise impossible to raise. And even if you were willing to buy training, I'll tell you that armorer, at least, doesn't have a master trainer, so you have to raise that one yourself, at least in the vanilla game. And the master trainer, I think for enchant, is actually hostile to you, so you have to raise that one on your own too, which is why we're going through the tedium of soul gems. Anyway, I'm rambling a little bit, but we're making progress. That's the important thing. And we'll get back to adventuring soon enough, only we'll be prepared to do it, so even at level 2, we'll be able to survive. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy my videos, please consider clicking an ad, liking, sharing, or subscribing, any or all of which really help me out. Otherwise, please know that I really do appreciate the time you spend watching, and hope you have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.